All right, happy to have on our guy, Joe Henricksen. It's been a while since we've caught up with him, but Joe, there's a lot going on in-state recruiting. Illinois involved with a lot of in-state guys, especially the younger talent. So we've talked about this a lot. Hopefully these guys stay around the state. That's fun for us and for you. But it seems like there's a good crop of young talent coming up.
Yeah, Jeremy, this is exciting. I mean, I've been kind of whining and complaining for the better part of 3 or 4 years. And, what stood out to me this year, you mentioned young talent. There's no question the biggest storyline as far as talent, recruiting, prospects, evaluations is this freshman class. Saw, again, another great performance from, there's three guys that stand out above the rest. Davion Thompson from Bolingbrook, Devin Cleveland from Kenwood, and Jackson Davis from Warren. I hate kind of ranking them almost because they're such at a high level right now. Davion Thompson has been my flavor of the year. I just, boasting the upside to go with the type of production and the winning that they have. Watched him again this past weekend. He's so poised. He's so polished. Not long ago, but summer when I saw him, brought up the comparison to Jalen Brunson. It's kind of, I don't know who's the first, whatever, it doesn't matter. But the point is, it's kind of, caught steam as more people have seen him. And, there were questions on Brunson at that early stage of being not athletic enough. Is he, there was some critique going on. I can see that with Davion Thompson. He's not a freak of nature athlete like a Derrick Rose, but he's a 6'1", 6'2", got some length to him. And I mentioned the poise and polish he plays with, already a pretty elite shooter. He's a winner. I love his mentality. He screams high major. So, and those older guys do too. So it's really encouraging. And they seem to be really stable kids, people around them, families that, it can change.
Right.
But they seem to be in a position where they might not leave. So hopefully that's the case because it's enjoyable to watch.
When was the last class that you felt this high on this early, Joe?
I mean, to have this group, probably, it's been 10 years. It has not been of late for sure in the last handful of years. And we've had I speak of this a lot. The decline began, there's hills and valleys throughout, but the decline began in 2016. And I thought it was just a blip on the radar. Mm-hmm. It's turned into, that's a concern when it expands. Now we're going on 8 years. We had unbelievable group in like 2011, 2013, 14, and 15. 2012 wasn't very good, and there's your blip. Yep. I thought, okay, 2016, and then 17 was okay, and then it's just, it's been tough. Particularly two things, both the high level, high major talent where Illinois fans are concerned, and credit to Brad Underwood and the staff that they have circumvented that, and just it hasn't been a factor. Yeah. And then two, just the depth, quality, the lack of Division I players. We're used to 40 to 50 a year for years and years and years and years. And over these last 8 years, you've probably averaged 25, close to 30.
Yeah. Well, Joe, I want to get into some of these new offers Illinois has made in 2025, 2026 as well. But let's talk about Morez Johnson because he's still in high school. He's been committed to Illinois for 2 years, finally signs. Didn't get that McDonald's All-American nod as a lot of fans wanted. But how would you update Morez Johnson's development as he is now just months away from joining Illinois in the summer?
Man, anybody's listened to me or written or read what I've written, I absolutely love him. He's one of my favorites for reasons beyond his talent. He is just the epitome of a winner. And, there's a lot of similarities, different positions, different players, but similarities to a Ty Rodgers. And the difference, I think, between those two in terms of their upside potential and future is, Ty, I think, came in positionless, still figuring it out what position he is. Doesn't take away from the will and desire he has to be on that floor in terms of his toughness, defensive mentality, and athleticism. Morez is a little different. He has a position. He is, and I think what he's done is he's accepted who he is over the course of his career. He's morphed into that guy in that he's a big. He is a 6'9", 235-pound man-child, and who doesn't waste those physical attributes, meaning he will get after it. He will have a nonstop motor, and he's about the little things. He's he's dismissed these things that he's kind of unable to do at this point in his career, and just gone to the basics. And that's where I think he thrives. And rebounding, run the floor, finishing, and then that size and that he brings, and the attitude that he brings are just off the charts, and just so desirable for a college coach, because those are some things that are really hard to find today in recruiting.
So, Joe, obviously Illinois loses Coleman Hawkins, Quincy Guerrier. We'll see with Dane Danger, but what are reasonable expectations from Morez Johnson, who's obviously going to play for Illinois next year?
Yeah, I don't want people to be confused of who he is. I mean, he's not this ultra skilled big. As you project him as a 5 in college, I know it. It's, if you look at how Illinois is playing right now offensively. I wouldn't say, there's going to be tweaks that they'll do with personnel. And I think Brad and their staff has done a great job of that over the years, as everybody has seen how they have fluctuated. Morez, throwing him into that right there, you can see Dane Danger's lack of, minutes that he's played in that system. So, I just think they'll tweak to the personnel, but I think Morez, the skill levels where he's got to improve. But as he plays a more traditional 5, then he is kind of more of a skilled 5. But yeah, I think he's a immediate contributor, productive freshman, and those are hard to find. But I just think because he's college ready, or college body ready, and because he's about the little things, that he will be able to get on the floor. Who knows what this roster will look like in 9 months from now, because they have a lot of portal work to do. But I think he's going to be more ready as a freshman than really any freshman they've had come in as of late.
Illinois got a commitment from Jeremiah Fierce here recently, Joliet native. I know he's playing out of state at Compass Prep, one of those top programs in the country. But what do you think of his game and how he fits at Illinois?
No, he fits great. He's always been a player since he was a freshman at Joliet West. Obviously, he's left the state, see him during the summers, but he's a gifted offensive threat in today's game as far as a distributor, shooter, scorer. And, I've always thought from the first day I saw him, I liked his upside and his value more than his brother, who was obviously a McDonald's All-American and now at Michigan State. But I think Jeremiah Fierce they're really different players, where Jeremy's a downhill, compact, physical force, and Jeremiah, I think, is a little bit more skilled, better shooter, and a better scorer. And those are the types of guys you look at the way Illinois is playing right now. Again, you go back to that. He fits in perfectly. Interchangeable, can play a couple of different spots in the backcourt, perimeter wise, and he's going to be a lethal offensive threat. He just has to get bigger and stronger. He's that's the opposite of what Jeremy Fierce was. He was kind of a punisher. Jeremiah is a little slender still, but he's starting to fill out. And again, I would expect him to be an immediate impact guy as well when he arrives in Champaign.
Joe, it's fun to kind of watch these kids and who they kind of idolize and watch growing up. Like, I was a Kobe guy. Like, you could tell that generation is a Kobe guy. Jeremiah, he's a Steph generation guy. Like, you could tell he watches Steph, and that's kind of who he idolizes. But that's just a different skill set that Illinois, doesn't have really right now in its roster. Different guys, Domask and Shannon, are certainly different, but kind of reminds me of Tyson Walker a little bit at Michigan State.
Yeah, I think Illinois has done, for a while, you always kind of said they don't have that long, agile, super athletic, active 6'7" wing. And boom, now they've got one of the best ones in the country. So you do, alter that roster. And for years, they didn't have a point guard. So it's just, you fill those holes, but you also, Jeremy, you take what you can get in terms of high-level talent, and then a good staff, a good coach can then, again, gravitate towards what you have. And I think with Jeremiah, he's going to fit like a glove with what they do offensively right now.
It's really kind of foolhardy, Joe, to predict rosters moving forward and guys who are going to be there. But what do you think of Fierce and Morez? And, a Ty should still be there when those guys are here leading that next wave of Illinois basketball.
Well, they're high. If they were, Morez is an Illinois kid, Jeremiah would, technically is an Illinois kid. He'd clearly be my number one player in the class. So you're talking about, players that are from Illinois at a high level, that Illinois, not that they didn't shy away from before, but because they, other than Io, they weren't there. They're not in abundance. So it is nice for Illinois fans and for people like me to have these types of players that are in state that you have a really good feel for of who they're going to become. But yeah, that's the foundation. And that's with any terrific young player, I just hope that they just aren't, and I'm not saying this, I'm not putting words in their mouths or their families or camps. I just hope they're patient. They wait. They don't jump the gun and getting out when things go bad, whether it be even transferring or going pro too early, or it's just such a benefit for some of these kids if they just can stay locked in, focused on what's at stake, their own program, their own team, and their own development with where they started out. They picked that place for a reason. They picked Illinois for a reason. And I'm not trying to jump ahead and, sound alarms or red flags. I just, all these players, it is really hard right now for freshmen. It's always been hard. But now, we're talking to college coaches and what they desire and what they want in their rosters, and to stay ahead of the game, they continue to want, portal players, veteran college players that they have already seen and noticed playing college basketball. And there's one more year of this abundance of players that'll still be in the portal, this spring. And then it's going to change a little bit. They could get back a little bit to more high school. It'll still always be portal because there's going to always be guys in the portal. There's just not going to be as many because of that extra COVID year.
Yeah, that's why I love seeing Coleman Hawkins turn into what he's turned into, through some ups and downs. And
perfect example.
Ty Rodgers doing the same thing. I think he's going to be a huge piece of what they do the next couple of years. Phoenix Gill, he was at an Illinois game here recently. I think he keeps saying he'd like Illinois to push a little harder, but it seems like they're still evaluating him as Northwestern's in the mix. He's Iowa State's in the mix. What's kind of your evaluation of Phoenix midway through his junior season?
The team has struggled. Phoenix is going to continue to shoot the ball better. I don't, have him ranked as high or projected as high as probably most other people. And, my rankings and my evaluations and projections. I like Phoenix. I think he does a lot of the little things we talked about with Morez. He's about the right things. He does things that help a team win. He's not ultra explosive, and he kind of just has to figure out in terms of, shot. It has to be a better shot. He's going to have to be able to be a more consistent 3-point shooter. We'll see. It's a big spring and summer, and it's different because last spring and summer he didn't play in the AAU basketball. He just kind of worked out, trained. So we'll see how that, translates into this spring and summer.
Factor's delicious, ready-to-eat meals make eating better every day easy. So wherever tomorrow takes you, be ready with pre-prepared, chef-crafted, and dietitian-approved meals from Factor delivered right to your door. You'll have over 35 different options a week to choose from, including keto, calorie smart, vegan and veggie, and my favorite guys, Protein Plus. And there's even more to enjoy with over 55 nutrition-packed add-ons that help make your weekly meal planning even more delicious. So what are you waiting for? Get started today and have a feel-good week of meals ready to go. The great part about Factor, they're 2-minute meals, so you fuel up fast with Factor's restaurant-quality meals that are ready to heat and eat wherever you are. Plus, they have snacks, smoothies, and more, so you can discover a wide variety of easy options for the entire day, like breakfast, midday bites, and more. And we've done the math. Sign up and save. Factor is less expensive than takeout, and every meal is dietitian approved to be nutritious and delicious. Factor is the perfect solution if you're looking for fast, upscale options done easily. No prep, no mess meals. Factor meals are 100% ready to heat and eat, so there's no prepping, cooking, or cleanup needed. So head to factormeals.com/Illini50 and use code Illini50 to get 50% off your first box and 2 free wellness shots per box while subscription is active. That's code Illini50 at factormeals.com/Illini50 to get 50% off your first box and 2 free wellness shots per box while subscription is active. In that class of 2025, Illinois recently offered Rolling Meadows wing Ian Miletich long, shooter. They need guys like that. Joe, what do you think of him?
He has made a huge stride. I was a fan of his, and I'm thinking he's going to be a no-brainer, terrific mid-major prospect down the road. The shot has just, I just mentioned shooting. Coaches want shooting. The way the game is played now, you have to knock down shots. He's shooting it at such a rate and a high clip that I would have never have guessed based on, mechanics, release, all that stuff. It did not. That was the big concern when I saw him as a freshman. He played as a freshman on the varsity level. Saw a lot of him as a freshman and sophomore. And it's like, all right, if he can be a competent shooter. Well, now he's shooting 48, 49, 50% while being closely, guarded by every single opposing team. And he's got surprisingly sneaky athleticism off the floor. Very versatile, like a 3'4", 6'7" kid. So. I have them as a mid-major plus, but there are high majors coming, and I think more are coming. And there's a player, Angelo Chirvino at Mount Carmel, who kind of was the hot name this past summer, and Northwestern jumped in and got him. I kind of thought maybe he might have the same jump in the spring and summer, Ian, but it came a lot sooner. He has just exploded on the scene, and several Big Ten schools are now involved.
2 other offers, South by 80. It's fun to watch Illinois get involved with these in-state kids again. 25 Peoria Manual guard Dietrich Richardson, his uncle DJ Richardson, and then 2026 Kankakee guard Lincoln Williams just got an Illini offer after his visit on Sunday night to Illinois. What do you think of those guys? I
am sky high on Richardson. He has been atop my rankings in that class. That class is not a loaded class. Fears obviously departed and would clearly be the number one prospect. I just think when you're talking evaluation and the versatility, the length, what Dietrich Richardson brings to the table, he is just scratching the surface, just figuring it out. He's 6'6", can do a whole lot of different things offensively, pass, shoot, dribble. He is just the, multi-positional guy who you're not sure what he is, but it doesn't really matter. And I love his upside. He's another one. It's a little bit slender and has to get a little stronger and fill out physically, but big fan. Lincoln Williams is similarly built as Dietrich Richardson. And it's interesting with, Jeremy, these 2026 offers, they have to be made. I just don't put a lot of stock into them.
Yeah.
On both ends, Illinois or any other program that's recruiting a young kid like that, their roster is such in flux and changes. They may not even need a position or a player in 2 years. Kids aren't going to be committing early anymore because they want to know what a roster looks like. And they're just, Morez is a different case. He committed early and stuck to it. And, he was, you're talking about a top 25, top 35 players, a little different. So it's just a matter of letting the time pass to see where we are realistically with the recruitments. But Lincoln is a glider. He is smooth. I just saw him last week against Thornton. He's another versatile, long, active 6'4", 6'5", 2 guard who's got great length and size, and you can get to the rim. And he's got some nice athleticism as well. And he's a top 5 prospect in my rankings in that class.
Seems like Illinois is making Bennett Academy guard Gabe Solarski a very top priority. Like they're pushing hard there. What do you think of his game now that he's kind of the guy at a program that's been really, really good, obviously?
Yeah, he's the top player in that class. And, it was interesting because he didn't play varsity basketball as a freshman, and he kind of blew up in the summer. And now the whole Big Ten and, multiple high major offers outside the Big Ten. He's just a tough, physical perimeter guy who another guy who's got to figure out, all right, how am I going to improve my shot? He's good, but it's streaky. It's not consistent right now, but he's also just a sophomore. He's a very good passer. I look his demeanor that he brings to the court. He's got a physical build that's tough and strong. That's going to fill out nicely. And he's kind of a jack of all trades. He'll rebound. He'll distribute. He can, play point guard in a pinch. And so he's a definite high major. And I think it'll be a Big Ten battle, for over the next few years trying to get him.
Certainly, Joe. We've been talking a long time, and I've always appreciated your insight. Illinois sell to recruits is certainly different than what we were talking 5 to 10 years ago right now.
Yeah, everything has just changed so much. I am going to argue something as far as, I'm writing an article or column on this with Illinois specifically. When the Illinois job comes open, Jeremy, there's this big, huge debate and argument of how good of a job it is. What is it? A top 10 job in the country? Is it a top 25 job in the country? I think it is more approaching that now than ever before because of the reason that we've been talking about, this portal. And there was always this pressure on Illinois to, the only way you're going to be a top 10, top 25 program in the entire country is if you keep the kids at home, These stars from Chicago, and they missed out on most of them over the last 25 years. I'm not saying that Chicago kids aren't important and Illinois kids aren't important for the University of Illinois basketball program, but they're not as important. They just aren't.
You don't have to rely on it anymore.
You do not have to rely on it. There are with the portal in particular, and then the big caveat is the NIL. I mean, it's just Illinois has been fortunate on the grand scheme of things that they have been very proactive in development of that NIL and what they've been able to do with it. And because of that, they are far ahead of, they are a top 25 program.
Yeah, what I tell people, Joe, like let's be honest, like NIL is great for Illinois. Such a passionate fan base, such a huge alumni base. Like I know people are concerned about it with football and all that, but it is a huge plus for Illinois basketball.
And that's what's going to make top 20 jobs, top 25 programs, and top 10 more so than, Illinois has a pipeline to Chicago or a great recruiting base, a breadbasket to recruit from. It's not. I mean, it's just I don't like it personally. It's not for Illinois, but I just I don't know. I just know so much of what goes behind the scenes with college basketball and these programs, and talking to the coaches and these coaches that are struggling with, $500,000 of NIL competing against in the same league with $2 million of NIL. And that is just kind of what it's become. And until it changes, Illinois is in a better position to be that legitimate top 20 program than ever before in my eyes.
But that also helps them, Joe, with they're legitimate enough, they're good enough that when Jeremiah Fears or Morez Johnson comes around, those guys think of Illinois as a really good program. Like, so you can take advantage of when the state produces that talent.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the case with Illinois forever. When you win, it's more attractive, and particularly with high school kids. But the thing is, you don't have to spend, I mean, this is a generalization, but you do not have to spend as much money, NIL money, packages with high school recruits as you do the top tier talent in the portal every spring. So, if you've got your cash flow of NIL, for lack of better words, that you can really, really invest in these juniors and seniors that are in the portal, and then build it with this, the recruitment of these high school players. I mean, the days of, it'll still happen here and there, but the days of 4 and 5 man, really Fab 5 recruiting classes are probably over forever. It's just, I don't know why anybody would want 5 freshmen. But if you can combine the two, then you're really onto something. And to your point, when you're winning, I mean, and you can keep that rolling and maintain that portal presence, the NIL presence with those older players, you are going to keep winning. Yeah. And that brings in, opens the doors to those, those hotshot high school kids that you want to get in the top 100.
Joe, I don't know what conversation you've had more. Is Illinois recruiting Chicago, or why can't DePaul have success? What do you think? DePaul is opening. Like, they got to go big here, don't they? Like,
Jeremy, it's hard to go big when you don't have the resources. Yeah. And it is the opposite of what we just got done talking about. And until they are able to put their best foot forward in all aspects of a program, it's going to be really hard to lure I've been asked that question in phone conversations and texts and just relentlessly for 2-3 weeks. I don't have any inside scoop of where they're at in the search. There's names I've heard and then some coaches have kind of mentioned they've been, touch base through back channels, whatever. It's all about money, man. And if you can't pay a coach $3 million, then you need to figure out how you can get a ball coach for a lot less money while investing some type of money into NIL. I mean, it's been out there that they have struggled mightily with NIL, and in a league that has become a beast with national champions, and it's just such an uphill battle. It's going to be interesting to see when it whittles down to. I was very involved with some of the guys that were in the last search, including John Shire, and things turned out okay for him. But I don't know what they're going to do going forward if you don't have the resources in place.
Yeah. Well, Joe Henricksen, you're the goods, man. Always appreciate the insight. Joe Henricksen, City Suburban Hoops Report. Check him out on Twitter at Joe Hoops Report. Looking forward to that column against on Illinois, man. Appreciate the time.
All right. Hey, thanks, Jeremy. Anytime.